Ladies and gents, welcome to the video. I'm GetGoodGuy and this is Battlefield 5 with the new 6.2 update, which once again changes the overall time to kill and weapon balance of the game, but this time, despite its flaws which I've covered recently, it's far better than what we've been playing in recent times. Guns are more lethal, different weapons are hitting the top of the meta, and so a lot of you want to know what the optimal usage guns are so you can get in ahead of the competition. So I'm starting my coverage of the great and good weapons as early as possible, and all of this footage is from the new 6.2 update. Today I'm bringing to you the best statistical options we've found for each class. I've discussed this with one of my super knowledgeable contacts, a shortlist was drawn up, and I then selected what I deemed to be the standout option from a stats perspective. So these selections have no personal preference bias involved, don't consider individual skill levels or anything like that, it's purely stats based for the ultimate optimal choice, and I'll be doing specific videos on each of what I personally deem to be the best weapons over the coming days and weeks. Let me know in the comments what you're excited to use, and let's dive into this. Kicking things off with the assault class, and I'm not going to go into extreme detail today as that's not what these videos are about. We did enough of that in my 16-minute analysis of the TTK yesterday, but I've gone for a weapon that's actually one of my least used so far, the Turner SMLE. Now the Gewehr 1-5 was another top contender for this spot, and that gun is secretly being one of the most potent weapons in the game for long periods, with a lot of very able players absolutely destroying with it, but it just somehow flies under the radar, and my personal choice would actually have been the AGM/42, which will surprise absolutely nobody that's a long-term viewer of the channel. 450 rounds per minute, 4-shot kill up to 100 meters, and a 2-shot headshot? Yes please. But for raw stats, I just couldn't ignore the Turner SMLE. This thing is crazy. A rate of fire of 360 rounds per minute, increased from the 300 RPM it had in the 5.2.2 update, and it's a 3-shot kill to center mass up to 50 meters. If you can deal with the kick it has from each shot and land a high percentage of your attempts whilst firing at a rate that comes anywhere near close to optimal, you're going to be dropping people left, right and center. Now that is very important. It does require you to be able to use it effectively, obviously, and so this is probably extra viable for PC where recoil is less of a factor, but for some people it simply won't play into their skill set or preferences. If you want more stability, maybe look at something like the Carabin or the Gewehr 43. They fire a bit slower but have solid stability stats and are a 3-shot kill out to 100 meters. Or if you want to stick with the 360 RPM options, there's also say the MAS 44 with that bit more stability than the Turner, but it doesn't have the option to boost the magazine up to 20, which the Turner does, or the Turner can use detachable mag for I believe up to 11 rounds per reload, whereas the MAS 44 has 10. But look, I mean basically guys, the semi-autos are insanely good now. There are a huge amount of good choices and it's difficult to even pick a top statistical choice. The Turner takes it for me, but you can't really go wrong with the vast majority of them. Semi-autos are the versatility kings again, expect to see them a whole lot, and so the Turner SMLE is my choice for the best statistical option in the new TTK for the assault class. But basically all semi-autos are excellent. Next up we're onto the medic class, and I've gone for the ZK383. Now in my analysis of the TTK, I went over how fast-firing automatic weapons maintain their optimal range advantage, whereas slower-firing ones don't, which essentially took the slowest-firing SMGs out of the equation. So options like the Suomi and the Thompson are very good at what they do still. You can run around and rip faces off with them. And actually the EMP and the MP28 are still great if you just really want to focus upon hipfire. But the ZK383 takes it from a stats perspective. Both the slower firing and faster firing options are viable. In the footage I'm using the faster firing option due to the advantage fast firing autos currently have, but either is good because it's an SMG so it can contest in close quarters, but it also has strong bullet velocity, extending its range capabilities, plus the bipod giving it even more range potency. It's kind of the SMG choice if you want to have some lethality almost regardless of range. Now it allows you to run and gun, especially with the faster rate of fire option, so it has that over things like the Sten, which you maybe would use if you want extra range, but you're going to get slapped about in close quarters by a lot of options. And then the ZK383 has a bipod, which also gives you that longer range option, as I said, allows you to play slow or take up advantageous or defensive positions if you so wish. So this is probably the SMG that most fits with the large and open map design of the game, plus the newly forming meta, where most SMGs have reduced range potency and semi-automatics are taking over the mid-range. It's absolutely worth taking a look to see if you connect with it. I remember when this thing was all the rage for a while when it was new. Well, its time to shine a bit may have come back around, and if you don't like this option, you could of course opt for a fast-firing one and stick to close quarters, or go for a slow-firing option if you so wish, if they work better for you, but you need to be smart with them as they aren't in the best spot they've been in for balancing. Try to stick to longer ranges and pick your battles wisely. And so all of that is why I've selected the ZK383 as the best statistical option in the new TTK for the medic class. Next up, we come to the support class, and I've gone for an LMG, the BAR. This thing is still gonna be nasty. By default, it's a fast-firing option. In fact, I believe the fastest-firing LMG, with a rate of fire of 720 rounds per minute, and that falls nicely into my previous assertions about faster-firing autos having an advantage in this build of the game. But you can drop the rate of fire to 550 RPM if you so wish to try to hit longer range targets more reliably. Either way, you're looking at having the same bullets to kill values as all the other MGs in the support class aside from the Madsen, and so that fast rate of fire allows this to be the most lethal LMG in the game if you can land your damage, and you're most likely to be doing that at close to closer mid-range, which is a very popular area for engagements in BF5. A quick little mention for the Madsen though, because despite it being a slower firing LMG, it does require one less bullet to kill than all the other support MGs from 30 meters onwards, so if you want to play very slow and stationary, taking your defensive positions, the Madsen could well be worth a look for its ease of use and consistency. Just don't use it to run and gun at all, as its slow RPM, large gun model that obscures your view, and the extra bullet it needs to kill between 0 and 10 meters makes it an awful option for aggressive play. Now, I also picked the BAR over all the MMGs because of the extra versatility and movement ability of using an LMG. Plus, MMGs, despite being better now than in the 5.2.2 update, aren't actually balanced particularly strongly, so they're a bit gimmicky and mediocre now. Aside from the MG42, with its excellent rate of fire and equal bullets to kill values as all but one of the MGs in the class, basically that thing can shred if used well. And to top out our coverage of support, the BAR is also comfortably selected over shotguns, as almost all weapons are now more lethal again, whereas shotguns haven't been altered. Combining that with the map design of the game, it's going to be a real struggle for shotguns in 99% of situations. And so all of that is why I've selected the BAR as the best statistical option in the 6.2 update for the support class. And now we come to the Recon class, and oh baby, my favourite two-shot banger is back on top. The ZH29 is an absolute monster again. It's a two-shot kill to center mass at all ranges. It's had its rate of fire buff back to a minimum of 150 RPM or 164 with the correct specialization, and this is especially important when you consider the rise of the semi-auto again. These self-loading rifles are a key competitor and potential counter to the semi-autos, requiring less bullets to kill, but relying upon better accuracy, engagement selection, and reload management. They're not going to be for everyone, but for the right player, self-loading rifles are going to absolutely destroy. Now, you can't really go wrong with any of them. The Model 8, for example, is nasty for just dumping your rounds out quickly and getting two-shot kills out to 50 meters. The Self-Slider 1906 is also super good, with the same bullets to kill and rate of fire as the ZH29, but I've gone for the ZH29 over it due to a few reasons, one of them being it can use detachable magazines, but really both of them are going to be absolutely fantastic. And now, keep in mind, you also have flares as Recon should you choose to use them, plus you can swap people by landing damage if you have the correct combat role selected. If you add all of that to the ZH29, well, it's happy days for players like me again, but feel free to use whichever combat role and specializations you wish. It's still going to absolutely slap people about, and I didn't deviate from our selection policy here. Despite the ZH being my favorite, it's actually an extremely strong statistical option for all of the reasons I've listed. But I should mention that bolt action rifles now have better muzzle velocity for extra ease of use, but for most people a self-loading rifle is going to be superior, especially with their rates of fire increased again, and so all of that is why I've selected the ZH29 as the top statistical option in the new TTK for the Recon class. And that's my roundup. I really hope you enjoyed and found it useful. I'm really looking forward to bringing you videos of my personal favorite weapons in the new TTK. Leave me a comment if you want to share which guns you're looking forward to using, and if you did enjoy the video, leaving a like is massive for me. It's greatly appreciated and helps me to grow. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing and maybe turning on notifications if you want to stay up to date with the massive amount of content I'm putting out. And all the links to my social media, including Patreon, can be found in the description description and my pinned comment. Here is the Board of Awesome for the epic people who support the channel on Patreon. They're all absolute heroes and I love them all deeply and of course, often. If you want to join them on the Board of Awesome, the link to the Patreon page is in the description and my pinned comment. And with that all said, I'm GetGoodGuy and I'll see you next time. Laters. But there's an alternative argument that I can't find a way to argue with. So examples like again the Suomi and the Thompson are still effective within their intended optimal range of up to 20 meters or so, right?